A ham sandwich walks into a bar and orders a beer. The bartender says, "We don't serve food here." A bear goes to the bar and says, "Can I get one whiskey and one Coke?" The bartender asked why the big pause. The bear replies, "I was born with them." A rope walks into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, "Get out. We don't serve rope in here." So the rope goes out, cuts itself in two before tying the two sections together. It then pulls out a comb and combs its ends. The rope then walks back into the bar. The bartender says, "Hey, aren't you the rope that I just threw out?" The rope replied, "No. I'm afraid not." A man walks into a bar with a small newt on his shoulder. The bartender said, "What an interesting pet. What's his name?" "Tiny," the man replied. The bartender said, "That's an odd name. Why did you call him Tiny?" "Because he's my newt." A weasel walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Wow, I've never served a weasel before. What can I get you?" "Pop," goes the weasel. A horse walks into a pub and orders a pint. The bartender says, "You're in here a lot, do you think you may be an alcoholic?" The horse replies, "I don't think I am," and disappears from existence. See, the joke is about Descartes' famous philosophy of, "I think, therefore I am," but to explain that before the rest of the joke, is to put Descartes before the horse. A man walks into a bar. The bartender asks, "What do you want?" The man replies, "Oh, just some fruit punch." The bartender sighs and shakes his head. "If you want punch, you're gonna have to wait in line." The man looks around, but there is no punchline. A neutron walks into a bar and asks how much for a drink. The bartender says, "For you, no charge." COVID, HIV and the flu, walks into a bar. Bartender says, "What is this, some kind of sick joke?" A king and queen walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Sorry, you're not 21. A man walks into a bar with a piece of asphalt. The man says to the bartender, "One for me, and one for the road." C, E flat, and G walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Sorry, but we do not serve minors." A really bad impressionist walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Why the wrong face?" So a snake walks into a bar. The bartender says, "How'd you do that?" A Times New Roman walked into a bar and the bartender said, "Sorry, we don't serve your type here." Argon walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Get lost, we don't need your element in this establishment." Argon does not react. A man walks into a bar, orders a glass of beer, and stares at the bartender for a long time to make her uncomfortable. The bartender says, "Take a picture. It'll last longer." A guy named Philip walks into a bar. Bartender asks, "What'll you have?" Philip says, "A screwdriver." I used to be a bartender for the mob. It was whiskey business. A termite walks into a bar and asks, "Is the bartender here?" I'm Bob Jeffy. And that's the dad jokes to drink to on World Bartender Day. Cheers to the bartenders who always knows your name. We're on a mission to spread the laughs and groans far and wide, so please share these jokes with your family. Thank you. Hey listeners, tired of all the doom and gloom on the news? Then check out the Get Happy Headlines podcast by my friends, Stella and Mickey. It's a podcast dedicated to bringing you family-friendly, uplifting stories from around the world. Give it a listen, I know you will like it. Search for Get Happy Headlines in your podcast player or check out the show notes page for the link. The Daily Dad Jokes podcast is produced by Classic Studios. See the show notes page for social media links and joke credits.